Cooking for Health, a community cooking class brought to you by First Choice Community Healthcare, Agricultura Cooperative Network, La Cosecha, and other valued community partners. Today we'll be making maple roasted acorn squash with pecans, as well as roasted acorn squash seeds and piñon butter. We'll be starting today with our maple roasted acorn squash. The ingredients we will be needing are 1 acorn squash, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, 1 tablespoon of piñon butter, cinnamon powder, crushed pecans, sea salt, and black peppercorn. Preheat your oven to 425 degrees. Clean and dry your squash, cut off the stem and cut your squash in half. Scoop out the seeds and the insides with a spoon. Set your seeds aside, and we'll be using those in a little bit to make our roasted acorn squash seeds. Next, we will melt our piñon butter, which I will be showing you how to make in a little bit. If you're not able to make your own piñon butter, you can use unsalted butter. And we're just going to melt our butter over low heat, and we're going to mix in our maple syrup and our sea salt. Brush the cut sides of the squash with the mixture, allowing it to puddle in the center of each half. Save half of your mixture and stir the pecans into the remaining butter syrup mixture and set aside. Next, we're going to grind just a little bit of black peppercorn over our squash. Our squash is now ready for the oven. We're going to bake it at 425 degrees for 45 minutes. We'll be moving on to preparing our pecans, and right here I have a little bit of fresh crushed cinnamon that I just took half a cinnamon stick and crushed it into powder. Now I'm adding my pecan halves, and I'm taking the skinnier end of my pestle here to crush my pecans. And I'm going to pour this crushed pecans with cinnamon powder straight into my mixture of melted piñon butter and maple syrup. Here's a look at my squash as I just pulled them out of the oven. Next, I'm going to take my pecans and I'm going to fill each half of an acorn squash with my pecan mixture and put back into the oven for another 10 minutes. Here's a look at my squash now that I've pulled it out of the oven and it is finally ready to serve. You can see here that the juice in the middle of the inside of my squash is still bubbling. So you need to allow them to cool for about 10 to 15 minutes. Next, I'm going to cut my halves in half and serve warm. It smells like pumpkin pie and it tastes like pecan pie. It's an easy, simple, delicious, and inexpensive seasonal recipe that I hope you all are able to try out at home. Next, we're going to move on to our next recipe, where I'm going to show you guys really quickly how to make piñón butter. This is also really easy to make. All you need is your shelled piñón and a dash of sea salt. All you have to do is crush your piñón until it becomes creamy and add salt to taste. You can do this using a molcajete or a pestle and mortar or a food processor, as I'm showing here. You can also get creative and add spices or fresh herbs. Since we were doing a sweet recipe today, we didn't add any kind of extra spices or fresh herbs. For our final recipe of the day, we're going to roast the seeds from our acorn squash. All you need are your squash seeds, 1/4 teaspoon of olive oil, and 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Start by rinsing your seeds really well and spread them onto a flat surface to dry. Preheat your oven to 325 degrees. Drizzle with olive oil and sprinkle with garlic salt. Stir the seeds with a spoon until all of the seeds are coated with your oil and your garlic powder. Transfer your seeds to a baking sheet and bake at 325 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes or until your seeds are golden brown. Remove from the oven and allow the seeds to cool. You can then transfer them to an airtight container, or you can eat them all immediately because they are so delicious. You can also try this recipe using any other kind of winter squash. We hope you enjoy these delicious seasonal recipes. Thank you for watching. Tune in for the next fun and healthy recipe from Cooking for Health.